Hope you're doing well. This is Dan from onlinebasscourses.com, and I'm just going to show you in this lesson some bossa nova patterns that are really fun to play on bass. So I'm just going to use the key of E major. And for this, I'm just going to use really simple 7th chord shapes. And as you can see, I'm playing the E major around the 12th, well, exactly on the 12th fret. The E major scale. Now it's got 7 different notes in it, so I'm going to get 7 different 7th chords from it. So let's see, I'm going to go E major 7 here. These are all the chords I'm going to use, and I'm going to improvise a few little chord progressions that I'll show you. So E major 7, then we've got F minor 7, G sharp minor 7, A major 7, B 7, C sharp minor 7, D sharp minor 7 flat 5. So those are your 7 chords that come from the key of E major. And when you're doing bossa nova playing on bass, I don't want to just generalize the whole of bossa nova playing in this one sentence, it would be wrong to do, but it's a lot of root 5. That kind of thing. So I'm going to be playing chords with that. So like, so all I'm doing there, this will be on the E major 7 chord. I'm putting first finger on the 12th fret, and I've got my 2nd and 3rd fingers on the 13th frets of the D and the G strings. And it's this little finger that's coming across to the 14th fret of the A string. That's the 5th. Now, a 5th away from a root is a perfect 5th away from the root. It's always 2 frets this way and 1 string down. So that pattern is going to happen a lot. Okay, so memorize that one. Now, I know this isn't ideal. This is my kind of lockdown camera setup. I really should have a camera here and I don't, so I'll try and explain it as well as I can. But I'm using my thumb for the root 5 movement. So my index and middle are taking care of these top 2 notes that are on the D and the G strings. They're not actually moving, they're just staying there. You can change up the rhythms. But can you hear that the bass notes are going? You can make up any rhythm that comes to your head, but that's what I'm doing for now. Now that was a root on the E string when I was doing the E major 7th. Now I'm going to the A major 7th, which is on the A string. So I'm going 2nd finger on the 12th fret, that's the A. Got my 1st finger on the major 3rd, that's the 11th fret of the D string. And I've got 3rd finger or little finger on the 13th fret of the G string. Now in this shape here, I'm not going to go to the 5th by going 2 frets across and 1 string down like I told you. I'm going to put that note, the 5th, down the octave, and that basically means that the 5th is going to you're just going to drop down a string here. So from the root on the A string, just drop your finger down to the same fret on the E string and you'll have the 5th. It's the same thing. Instead of doing that, you go. Now, I messed up a bit there. You've got to really make sure when you're playing these kind of chords, and obviously you can adapt this to different styles of music. And another thing is that you're not probably going to be playing this on a gig or in a band. It's just something fun to do. You want to be able to curl your fingers, right, play them right, press down and fret right on the fingertips so that you don't do what I accidentally did there, which is just flatten my fingers against a string. I just didn't fret it very, very well. Now it's quite hard to get that little finger onto the 5th if you're curling. You've got to put your hand in a different shape, a different configuration than you're used to. So take your time, be really slow with this. Try not to bend your wrist too much when you're playing any chords. I don't know if you can see, well you can, I've got the bass pointing upwards that way. It's away from my body, so I've got a really nice access to the top of the neck here. See how the index and middle, they're not moving, and the first and third fingers, they're not moving. It's just the second finger there on my fretting hand, and then my thumb on my plucking hand. This is a really great kind of theory practice and composition practice as well. That was just a 2-5-1. So remember, we're in the key of E major. Really make sure you know your scale and just number the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So a 2 is the second note. And that's a minor seventh is built on that. I'll just show you that. I'll break it down as we go. So very good minor seventh shape if you're on the E string, and I'm barring here. This is what guitarists do. So I'm pressing down on the 14th fret, that's the root, the F sharp, with my first finger, but I'm keeping my finger straight so as to fret the 14th frets of the D and the G string. If you've never done that before, it would be really, really awkward. It's just a different movement. You're fretting with the bottom of your finger, which is a bit odd. And again, I'm just using thumb, index and middle on the E, the D and the G strings. Here I'm playing the fifth with my third finger, and again it's that 2 and 1 pattern. I'm going to the B7 here, that's the 5 chord, so my second finger's on the 14th fret. That's the root. My first finger's on the major third, 13th fret, the D string. Third finger is on the 14th fret of the G string. Yeah, and these are just the notes of the E major scale. If you want to get some little melody going in between these chords, you can do that as well, just using notes from the scale. Notice exactly the same as before when my root was on the A string. I'm just doing the fifth movement by dropping down to the E string. Was a major 2-5-1 there, and then I just did a minor 2-5-1. So this key, it's F sharp minor 7 flat 5. So D sharp minor 7 flat 5. So it's exactly the same as the F sharp minor 7 flat 5. The F sharp minor 7 with a flat 5. All these things can be a bit of a mouthful. F sharp minor 7 flat 5 is also called half diminished. Okay, so what I was going to say was that when I was doing the F sharp minor chord, remember I did that bar? Well, it's exactly the same if you move it to the 11th fret. But instead of having that perfect fifth, which was 2 across and 1 down, that would be what's called a perfect fifth. Flat 5, well, you flatten it and you get a flat 5. So even though it's a mouthful, it kind of does make sense. And you have to use that note here, otherwise it's basically wrong. And it leads really smoothly to this one here. So that's the G sharp. Now, the 3 chord in E major was G sharp minor. I don't know if you remember that, but it was a G sharp minor 7 chord. But here in a 2-5-1 and minor 2-5-1, we convert it to a dominant chord, just because that has a much greater and stronger pull to the 1. Listen to this. Sounds a bit wrong if you play it like that. That's the minor 7, but if you go, so when you see minor 2-5-1s, that's what's happening. We've got the half diminished, then we got to this dominant chord, and then we've got the minor, which is C sharp minor. Also, don't forget that if you didn't want to play this as chords and you just wanted to play these as bass lines, you just play the notes of these chords separated and you're playing more traditional bass lines. So playing the same thing but separated out, and that'll sound more like a traditional bass line. All the examples I've done so far have just been in one key, the key of E major, and don't forget that there are 11 other keys. And the beauty of jazz, bossa nova, Brazilian styles of music is that the chord changes modulate. So everything I've said so far, I said we have a minor 2-5-1, a major 2-5-1, and you could go, what am I doing here? 1-6-2-5. To the 1 there. So that was all in one key, and you can modulate and move around to different keys. Let me show you an example of that. So let's say we go 2-5-1 in the key of E. So that's the 1 there. Why don't I just turn that into a 2 of the next progression? That should give you a few ideas. You've got a root on the E string. That's where you do a 5th, 2 frets across and 1 string down. Or if you're on the A string, you just drop down. So if you know all the chords and the layout, the harmony within one key, you can really improvise nicely around that. But don't forget that bossa, Brazilian music, jazz styles, they modulate a lot. So you have 12 keys in music, and you can practice these ideas just moving around. Also, get a real book or search some chord progressions of jazz tunes, and you can follow those, and you'll get loads of mileage from this. And you can play around with the chords, but that will also give you the exact notes you need to play actual bass lines. So never forget that that's your job. I hope you got something from that. Thanks very much for watching. Please do consider subscribing. I do at least a video a week, and I'll see you on the next video.